great sheet. Randy. Perfect. Chance to get struck by lightning. Oh, it'll be great. Sit down.
Ready?
Ready.
I call to order the April 16, 2018 regular business meeting of the Cincinnati Board of Education. We welcome everyone and request everyone in the audience to please silence your cell phones and electronic devices. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the absence of Treasurer Wagner, I need a motion to nominate a board member to serve as Treasurer Pro Temp. Assistant Treasurer Ms. Tworick will perform the standard duties of the Treasurer.
I move Ryan Messer be our Treasurer Pro Temp.
Second.
It's been moved and second that Ryan Messer serve as Treasurer Pro Tem. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ryan Messer will serve as Treasurer Pro Tem tonight. Ms. Tworick, please call the roll.
Mrs. Bates.
Present.
Ms. Bolton. Mrs. Copeland-Dansby. Mr. Messer.
Present.
Mr. Morowski.
Present.
Mr. Timmons.
Present.
Ms. Jones.
Here. I need a motion to approve the minutes from the special meeting, April 4th, 2018, business meeting, April 4th, 2018, special meeting, April 10th, 2018, and special public meeting, April 10th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve the minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved as presented. Superintendent Mitchell, will you please present the presentations?
Gladly. So this evening, we have the pleasure of being joined by Randy Smith, who is the president of the Ohio School Boards Association. The board may recall that assignment was given to have OSBA come down and do a presentation, so we're very excited and happy to have Mr. Smith with us this evening. So welcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to address this terrific body. Let's see. As the slide says, my name is Randy Smith. I am the state president for 2018. I am a board member of the Forest Hills Local School District, and we are your eastern neighbor. That's Anderson and Turpin High Schools. We go from your border to the county, from the river up to Indian Hill and Marymount. My background is corporate. I spent my career with Procter & Gamble. I was there for 36 years in marketing and advertising. I am a volunteer. This is not a paid position, although sometimes I feel like it should be. But anyway, just real quick background. OSBA is the Association of Ohio School Boards, K through 12 school districts. It also includes JVCs and CTCs, as well as ETCs. So we cover, if it's public school, we cover it, if it's K through 12. We represent 713 school districts and approximately 3,500 members. Our mission statement here is presented for you, leads the way to educational excellence. I want to focus on service, advocacy, and solutions, and hopefully by the time I get finished, that will make sense. OSBA governance. What I want to do this morning, or this evening rather, is to cover a little bit of background on what OSBA is all about, and then I've got some issues that we'll get into, but I wanted to give you the background on OSBA, even though some of you guys could probably give this presentation. But anyway, OSBA truly is a member-driven organization. We have a board of trustees, and right now Ms. Bates is one of our members. I greatly appreciate the extra time that she contributes as being a member of that board of trustees. The city of Cincinnati gets an automatic seat on the board of trustees. I think we have, it's either 33 or 35 members elected from board members around the state. We have a legislative platform committee. I'll talk about our legislative platform in a few minutes, but that is, again, approved by all members. And then we also have a delegate assembly. That's where all of our business is done, and every board of education has a vote. And it's a very democratic, but like I said, very member-driven organization. OSBA has a lot of committees. I pulled a few of them out that I thought you might be interested in here. The Urban School District Advisory Network, Ohio School Board's Attorneys, the OSBA Black Caucus. We have a Diversity and Equity Committee, which I'll be talking about here in a few minutes. OSBA headquarters is actually located just north of Columbus. 38 full-time employees, 6 part-time employees, and 5 region managers. We're part, naturally, of the Southwest region. Here's what I wanted to cover. Those are the topics, and like I said, I want to make sure I get to the key issues. From an advocacy standpoint, OSBA lobbies for all kinds of things. If it's K through 12 in public education in Ohio, we have 3 lobbyists who work very hard and put in long hours and lobby on behalf of public education issues. We do have a legislative platform detailed. Every piece of it's been approved by public education board members. It's 30 pages long. I'm not going to suggest you read it. One of my projects as president this year is to come up with a summary of our legislative platform. One of the things that OSBA supports is a project that NSBA does, which is the Federal Relations Network. We take 2 people from every congressional district in Ohio, well, actually in the United States, go to D.C. and volunteer our time for 3 or 4 days where we listen to, get training. I call it drinking from a fire hose for 3 days. And then they turn us loose on the Hill and lobby our representative and our congressman. And Eve has been a part of that for, how many years have you done that? 2, okay. Well, but anyway, it's a significant commitment of time, and sometimes it can be frustrating to try and make an impact at the federal level. But I will say, just recently, about 2 weeks ago, it was announced what the results of the budget planning was for this year, and I'm not going to go through these, but those are significant. And I'm not saying it happened because we were there, but I will say if we don't have a presence and we aren't there representing you, sometimes bad things can happen. So it's important to keep a presence and keep on the radar and make sure that our message is being heard from our federally elected officials. And I will say, both our senators were gracious with their time to listen to our issues and respond. So that's been good. Training. Okay. Ohio does not have mandatory training for board members. Many states do. Kentucky, they have a certain number of hours every board member, elected board member, has to put in. I'd like to think that we don't in Ohio because OSBA does a great job of providing training. Here are some of the opportunities for training. The Board Leadership Institute is April 27th and 28th. That's in Columbus, or it's outside of Columbus. Capitol Conference is November 11th and 13th. If you don't have that on your calendar, I would encourage you to do that. That is a really terrific opportunity to get a lot of training, network, learn a lot of things. I think our conference is the 2nd largest in the country. We have almost 10,000 people show up at that. It's board members as well as superintendents, treasurers, teachers, all type of people who've got an interest in public education show up for that. OSBA does offer a lot of seminars throughout the year. Hopefully you get information about those. And then also many webinars are available online on various topics. OSBA has a number of publications, briefcase, hopefully you get these. Who's the legislative liaison? Okay, hopefully you get the facts in a flash. I'm our legislative liaison, and I found that very helpful to keep up to speed on what's going on in the state. But if you're not getting those publications and you'd like to, my card is right in front of your nameplate there. Give me an email, and I will make sure that we get whatever publication you want sent to you. I'm not going to go through these, but OSBA has a lot of member services. And quite frankly, for a school district your size, you probably have people on board that are able to do some of these services. But for medium school districts like my school district, we're 7,500 students. We have some people on board, on staff that do these, but we still take advantage of OSBA services. A couple of them, like the Legal Assistance Fund, I know that we've written amicus briefs on behalf of your school district a number of times when legal challenges come up. Let's see. But anyway, it's good to have these, even if it's a second opinion, or sometimes you might just have a question you want to ask of somebody who's an expert outside. Like I say, sort of a second opinion. But I would encourage you, if you have any questions about any of these things, either ask today, or I'd be happy to talk to anybody afterwards. Here's some more of our member services. We have a lot of people on staff who are experts in these areas. And again, a lot of school districts can't afford to have an expert on staff to cover all these things. We offer a number of programs, insurance programs, workers' comp programs. A lot of school districts are able, by participating in these programs, to save a terrific amount of money. What OSBA does in some of these areas, like for example, board docs. Now that's a third-party program. I don't know whether you use an electronic meeting program, but by going together, OSBA is able to provide a discount, a lower price than what people would get if they went on their own. The big one, I think, is the workers' comp program. Again, I don't know whether you guys participate in that, but a lot of school districts do, and they're able to save a terrific amount of money by participating in that. Some of the legal services, like I said, I know our Legal Assistance Fund has done some things on behalf of Cincinnati Public Schools in the past. Here's some of the fee-based services we offer: workshops and seminars, policy consulting. They'll put on retreats for school districts who are trying to solve a particular problem. Executive searches. I know my school district, for a superintendent 2 times ago, we went with one of the more expensive executive search firms. This past time, we went with OSBA, and quite frankly, not just one person's opinion, but we got probably better service and quite frankly a better result going through OSBA. But anyway, okay, key issues. I wanted to go through that fairly quickly because that's the background on OSBA. Here are some of the things that we spend a lot of time working on behalf of our membership. The first one's funding. That always has to be at the top of the list. We're always working to increase state funding and advocate for a fair state funding formula. And as you may know, it's probably easier to figure out your federal income taxes than it is the state funding model. That's a moving target, but nevertheless, I will say we have some really high caliber people that make it their business to understand that and try and influence the legislature every time they turn around and change the formula to make sure it has a minimum negative impact on our school districts, and sometimes, if a miracle would occur, a positive impact. The second thing we advocate for all the time, a basic principle, is local control. We're always working to preserve or, in some cases, restore local control. That's been a challenge. We believe in democratically elected boards of education, and again, local control. House Bill 512, I'm assuming you guys have been briefed on House Bill 512. Dismantling of ODE and minimizing the State Board of Education, combining ODE, the Department of Higher Ed, and Workforce Development into the Department of Learning and Achievement. Now, normally, when somebody says, I want to streamline government, make it simpler, that sounds like a good a good policy. But as you probably are aware, if you've been briefed on this, this is not going to be positive for K through 12 education. We need better service from ODE, not less. And so has your board taken a position on this?
Not yet.
Okay. There's a template resolution that OSBA has provided. Doesn't mean you have to use it, but if you do take a position against 512, I would encourage you to pass that resolution. normally I'd say, well, what good's a resolution going to do? Well, it actually is helpful when our lobbyists can walk into a legislator's office or the governor's office with a stack of these from 714 publicly elected boards of education to say this is how we feel on this issue. That actually carries some weight. Here's another one that was huge. We had a Board of Trustees meeting, I don't know, it was a week, maybe two, after Parkland occurred. And we felt like we needed to do something. There were a lot of fragmented efforts. Everybody felt like they needed to do something. And so as a board, we set out to do three things. One was pass a resolution. Again, I know sometimes you might say, well, what good is that going to do? But again, this is another one where if we go in with the vast majority of school districts aligned, it does carry some weight. Second thing we did is decided to put on a school safety and security solutions summit. And what we have done, because like I said, there are a lot of pockets of people doing things around the state, is pulled together, I think we have 18 different organizations, state organizations, who came together. My understanding is it's the first time all 18 have ever been in a room together, because frequently we've got different political agendas and don't necessarily always see eye to eye. Some of the organizations, in addition to the School Board Association, the Superintendent's Organization, the Treasurer's Organization, the Resource Officers Organization. Here was one that I wasn't aware of, but the mental health organizations came together. Do you guys remember We Are the World, when that was put together? They said all these rock stars had to come together in one room. They said, park your ego at the door. That's kind of what we said when we got all these organizations together. We kept our political agendas at the door, but everybody was focused on safety and security for students. It's such an important issue that we felt like this was warranted. And I was really grateful that all these organizations came together. We had our first meeting about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And what will come out of that is this summit. It's intended to be statewide with, and I don't want to use the term best practices, because what's a best practice in the city of Cincinnati may not be for a rural school district in southeastern Ohio somewhere. It's different things work for different school districts. And what I'm really alluding to there is arming teachers, for example. Different people are doing different things throughout the state, and again, the idea is local control. That's one of our principles. We're not going to tell them they've been doing things a certain way for a couple years now, and we're not going to tell them they're wrong. If it's working for them, great. But again, what we're looking for out of this summit are solutions that will work for different school districts. The third thing, and again, that's still being developed. We're hoping to put it together as quickly as possible. It'll probably take place in Columbus, but it'll be for school districts all across the state. Third thing is a joint ask to the legislature. If we can get all those 18 organizations to sign off on specific requests to the governor, to the legislator, we feel like that'll carry a lot more weight than individual organizations going and getting not the attention we deserve. Another activity for OSBA right now is our Diversity Inclusion Initiative. Felt like that's been a real need within the state of Ohio. And actually, we kick it off. We've got a committee that starts on Thursday in Columbus. And so when they have met and start to put together an agenda, I'll be happy to share that with you, or actually, hopefully, you'll see about it, or you'll read about it. Just recently, the National School Board Association approved a new vision for equity in public education. I want to thank Eve for this, but I want to share this with you quickly. I actually didn't have the time to put it in a slide, so if you'll bear with me, I'm going to read this. And if I see somebody nodding off, I'll stop. But we affirm in our actions that each student can, will, and shall learn. Educational equity is the intentional allocation of resources, instruction, and opportunities according to need. We recognize that based on factors including, but not limited to, disability, race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status, students are deprived of equitable educational opportunities. This requires that discriminatory practices, prejudices, and beliefs be identified and eradicated. And so that is one of the fundamental principles that our statewide Inclusion and Diversity Committee will be working from. Again, more to come on that in the near future. One of the other things that we have done is an outreach to schools in academic distress. That, if you're a school district in academic distress right now, that's a crisis because you have the potential to be taken over. We've been working with Youngstown for quite some time. You're probably aware of their situation. And we've also been working with, Warrensville Heights, East Cleveland, Maple Heights, as well as Youngstown. And again, that's sort of a crisis situation where we're trying to apply OSBA resources to help those school districts through this crisis. Another activity for OSBA is we're increasing our collaboration with CUBE. That's an NSBA, National School Board Association organization, the Council for Urban Boards of Education. And again, that's something that more will be coming out of that in the not too distant future. Well, okay, that was a 60-mile-an-hour view of OSBA and what we're doing. And at this point, I will say if you have anything you want from me, my card is there. OSBA actually has a very robust website. There are a lot of resources there. And the website address is right up there. At this point, like I said, I will stop and take questions, or if Melanie or Eve, anybody wants to add anything to what I've shared, since you guys are close to OSBA, please do.
Thank you. And I will ask board members if they have questions or comments. But I do want to say Mr. Smith also has another appointment that follows, another presentation, so we just want to be respectful of his time. So open it up to questions or comments. Ms. Bowden.
I want to thank Randy for being here. It's great to have the president of OSBA be from our sector, the Southwest, appreciate it, and compliment him particularly on his advocacy work when we do go to DC. He has great credibility with the people that have power, and I know that's appreciated by the rest of us that may not. So it's great that he leads us there. But I would also say the leadership conference that's scheduled for this month, the featured luncheon speaker is a former Cincinnati board member, Catherine Ingram, and she's a past president of OSBA as well. But another person that's there is from the CLIPI organization, Community Learning Center folks, who's in charge of their housing, and she's going to be talking in part about the housing issue and engagement at Euler and that Lower Price Hill, and also the engagement at our own Sailor Park School and Sailor Park community. So we have a presence there and appreciate it. And I want to compliment Randy and a number of folks in Columbus too, because they're the ones that saw the strength in numbers, and 4 years ago now, I think, created that urban network, which said it's not just about the big 8, but indeed there are 50 or so school districts in the state of Ohio that have urban challenges and urban clientele, and we've been able to really do some very good stuff, both down here in the Southwest and throughout the state, so it's very beneficial for us.
Thank you. Other questions before I jump in? Okay. Thank you. We really appreciate your presentation. And I just have one comment, and I don't want you to take this as a complaint or anything like that.
Okay.
But I was very disappointed that, as you can see, my colleague here wrote that little statement about equity, and this district has a very strong equity policy, and it's supported by all of the strategic initiatives that we have, and we are periodically updated on where we are with that to assure that we're meeting our goals around equity. But I was so disappointed that I was not selected for the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. I had to say it, but I can't think of anybody else. And it's not a complaint, because I do understand when you have 700 plus school boards that it's hard to decide who to add to these committees, but I'll be stalking the person who's responsible to make sure that the next go-around, or when there's a vacancy, that they please consider Cincinnati Public to serve on that committee.
Well, I think I actually get a input on who is for next year.
Okay.
I didn't for this year, but I will not forget that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we do. Okay. So any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
Okay, we really appreciate your time, and come down and see us again. And I think some of us, if not all of us, will be attending some conference or something up there in the near future.
Good. I encourage you to do that because, like I said, when it comes to training, I know that I could not have done my job as a board member had I not gotten the training that I got from OSBA. And I'll say this, whether you've been in the position a month or 20 years, I've been on my board for 15 years, you're going to get something out of that. They have different tracks for different people. But anyway, thank you for your time, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm sorry?
Recognizing President Smith's time frame.
Yes.
We do have a video from NSBA that we could show and keep him, but I think it was just released this fall, or this winter, from NSBA. And it's a nice couple-minute thing that would be
Okay.
useful, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Wait, what was the question again?
Should I move up? Okay.
Can I think for just a sec?
Okay.
Oh, every day is really, really different. Every day you learn something new.
And every day sometimes make a new friend. Most amazing thing I've ever done at school?
The most exciting thing I've done, it's a really, really good question.
Oh, is read a chapter book. We get to dissect an owl pellet.
This was like a quadruple step equation because it had 2 double step equations.
You could see all the bones of that animal that another animal ate. One day in gym class, I hit a home run.
Yes, I did it!
I was jumping up and down just like I ate 1,000 Skittles. It's a bird of prey. And who doesn't like a bird of prey?
That would be today. Today would be the surprisingest thing I've ever done.
Through school, I've been able to test out hundreds of different activities and interests.
Geology,
Robotics.
World literature,
Art and Spanish.
magnetism, electricity, circuits.
Martin Luther King Jr. Multiplication and division. PE and music.
Kinematics, Newtonian dynamics.
Bunnies, cheetahs, and monsters.
What I love about teaching
Is when students take concepts or skills that I've taught them and they apply it in ways that I would have never even considered.
they finally get it and they say, oh yes, Mr. Karan, I got this now.
This is my only chance to make 5th grade excellent for these kids.
When one student comes in and says, I can't, it's our job to prove that they can.
I'm going to make it the best 5th grade experience they can have.
Different, ideas and viewpoints and cultures and beliefs, and it's just one big melting pot in your classroom.
I think something extraordinary happens every day in public schools just by its mere existence.
there is absolutely no ordinary day in school.
I want to be a doctor, or maybe a librarian, a scientist, teach.
Nurse practitioner.
Dietitian.
I want to be a lawyer.
Research within physics.
I want to discover things under the sea.
And then I also might start a company. But most of all, I want to go to college.
I definitely think that this is a place where dreams are nurtured and created.
School lets us become creative, lets us form our own bonds, lets us be truly us.
The challenges, the cooperations, the teamwork.
Really, it's the foundation to everything anybody wants to do.
There's always something to look forward to, something special going on.
It makes you a better person. You can adapt to new situations, try new things, expand your comfort zone, and do things you never otherwise imagined doing.
Every day, my education makes a difference in my life.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Bolton, for providing that as a support to Mr. Smith. Thank you. Superintendent, our next presentation.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Amy Hildebrand from SCPA. Well, actually, she's from the Cincinnati Opera Association, but she has a presentation on an alcohol waiver request.
Hello, good evening. Thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to present this request to you. My name is Amy Hildebrand, and I'm the marketing manager at Cincinnati Opera. Since 2013, Cincinnati Opera and the School for the Creative and Performing Arts have worked in partnership to bring the arts to Cincinnati and to our vibrant over-the-Rhine neighborhood. For 3 summers in 2013, 2014, and 2015, Cincinnati Opera has presented an opera in the school's Corbett Theater as part of our summer festival. We took a 2-year hiatus due to Music Hall's renovation, but now that Music Hall is complete and Cincinnati Opera has returned to Over the Rhine, we will again present an opera at the School for the Creative and Performing Arts, much to our audience's delight. The opera is called The Coronation of Poppaea, with 5 performances running from June 21st through July 1st, 2018. For these performances, we are requesting a waiver for alcohol sales at the School for the Creative and Performing Arts on performance days to help enhance the patron experience. The request was approved for our previous performances in 2013, 2014, and 2015. We have, and if approved, will again work with Funky's Catering, who does have a liquor license, to ensure that all proper licensure is in place. Only beer and wine will be sold before the performance and during intermission. No alcohol will be left at the facility overnight. Each performance day, Funky's will bring the alcohol to the venue and will take it with them when they leave after intermission. Of course, guests will be ID'd and no alcohol will be served to minors. And we will arrange necessary security and have submitted insurance that has been approved by the district. We are so thrilled to once again work in partnership with the School for the Creative and Performing Arts and to use the spectacular facilities that our guests look forward to enjoying each summer. Thank you so much for your consideration. Does anyone have questions?
Thank you. Board members have questions or comments? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Hildebrand.
Thank you.
Hold on. Mr. Messick.
Yeah, I would be remiss if I didn't say this as a member of the Opera Board. You know, I think the programming is exceptional, and I especially appreciate the community performances where children from across the city are brought in and exposed to opera for the first time in many cases. And I know many of our Opera Board members come back from those performances and speak so highly of SCPA, as those performances have been some of the first times people have actually gotten to see inside that facility and maybe tempted them to come back for more. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is board matters, and there is no specific topic under board matters, but I put it on the agenda today because, and we did this before when we developed our process with the FC Cincinnati conversation, as a way to share information or be open in our conversations about the various topics and things that we were addressing. So I put it on the agenda in hopes that the board would be okay with us having it as a standing item. And perhaps what we can do is, as we're preparing for the agenda, if folks have particular topics, and the one that, as an example, you know, at the point when we're ready to talk about House Bill 512, that we can have an open and transparent conversation about that particular item. And other such examples are when we do our updates on the CPS, CPP, preschool expansion, any item like that where we're really not only having a conversation amongst ourselves, but that conversation is also shared with the folks who are in our audience. So like I said, there's nothing on the agenda tonight unless someone has a particular agenda. But for future, I'm wondering if folks would want to have a topic identified there that perhaps we could give that topic to our staff within the week that leads up to the Friday where we get our packets. And that way we have a chance to kind of prioritize the topics for discussion and have time to prepare. So if you're going to be bringing a topic under board matters, you would also bring any relevant material so that folks are getting it in their packet. So I did talk with Mr. Hoying today, and it was believed that we did not need a motion because we can develop the agenda ourselves. So if do you have any questions or comments about that particular item? Ms. Bolton?
I would just ask, is this in lieu of inquiries and updates?
No, inquiries and updates, we probably have talked about it, or we're asking questions about a particular thing, or updating something that, you know, we've already talked about, as I stated. So this is mainly an open discussion. If we have, say, for example, with preschool expansion, most of that is going to be under updates because we've talked about that before, but if a new issue or challenge or subject comes up relative to that we need to have public conversation, it will fall up under board matters. Okay. Ms. Bolton?
I'm not sure if it's not new, but
Right.
I don't know that we resolved it, and that is the Strategic Planning and Engagement Committee.
Well,
Should we save that for inquiry and update, or?
it was assigned to policy, right, as an assignment. And so I believe that when policy is ready to present it, and I know it's going to be in your minutes, but if we're going to bring that framework to the full board for discussion, it would be up under board matters.
Because I know policy passed it.
Okay.
And wrote the charter.
Okay.
And passed it, so, and I think it was in board packets some weeks ago with the.
I didn't.
It's on the agenda again, I think, for Thursday.
Thursday's agenda? This?
Okay.
I'm confused. Thursday's agenda?
For policy.
Oh, okay. So
but
gotcha.
It did pass policy committee and was in the policy minutes, but perhaps the charter itself did not get, it was in the minutes, but it didn't, maybe the charter did not get in the packets. I think they're still following up on that.
Right, okay. So,
No, we voted on it and said yes.
Well,
okay,
we can't vote in
so.
committee.
Well, we can vote in committee, we choose not to vote in committee.
It was.
Consensus that it passed, so this was.
Yes, and it was my understanding, yes, it was my understanding when we assigned it that the framework or the charter would be brought before the full board for discussion, right? And we recognize that it's also going to be in the minutes, but for full board to look at it and study it and then have a conversation about the charter, that would be a subject under board matters.
I'm trying to see where it is.
Okay. Is that, we on the same page then? Okay, all right. Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you. Are you checking that out, Ms. Bates, or?
Yes, it's.
Okay.
I have it here. It's on our agenda. Develop recommendations for responsibilities and charter for the board's new committee board, District and Community Strategic Planning Committee. So it's coming back to us.
I have no idea why it would be coming back to us, because we moved it. That's why I'm confused. And what I think happened is that we moved it, it's, I think, in the minutes, but it would appear that the charter itself that was approved didn't get in the packets.
Right, because I didn't see it.
Right.
I didn't see it in the packets. Okay. So we can anticipate then that we'll have it in our next packet, which would be Monday, and then put it on the agenda for full, under board matters? Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
I do think too, if I could just add the additional piece, is that it was the membership piece that was difficult. minute, or, yeah, said that they would withdraw. We really didn't want them to withdraw. And general counsel had said that we needed to have 3.
Right.
But other members could attend, and I think one of the issues we have to think about is a quorum.
Right.
Because you might have 3 permanent members, but can you, could it be like ACEs, that we don't know until that day if we have a quorum? So I think that's an issue that perhaps we can assign to general counsel.
Okay, so we'll make that assignment in that agenda item. But I think there was some, not a whole lot of discussion, but I think the membership piece is going to be the most challenging about this, because there is, everybody sitting up here wants to be a part of that committee. And I think we really have to give some thought if we want this to move forward. We really have to think through what needs to happen. And if we cannot come to an agreement on membership, then there may have to be an alternative plan, which is we do everything in public and with everybody, full board. So that would be my only comment. Yes.
Can I also add too, and it's been brought to my attention as well on it, is that obviously we decided we needed to have some sort of strategic planning and engagement committee. But we also didn't want to box in the superintendent and put her on hold with her initiatives and views,
right,
and other kinds of strategic efforts that are happening in the district. So it might be it might be something else to talk about as well, is that what kind of strategic planning and engagement piece are we putting together so that people aren't on hold and that we can keep moving forward, because a lot of preliminary things obviously are in place and happening.
Right.
So that membership, I think, would be the way to look at that.
And I think that's a good place for us to start next week. So if folks are okay with that. Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any kudos? Mike Morosky. Okay, I was just kidding, because you usually do have kudos. We can count on you for that, but it's okay. All right. Mrs. Bates, please present any retirements you may have.
We do have several from our certificated personnel. Robert W. Burke and Kathy C. Lutz are retiring, both teachers. And from our civil service personnel, the retirements are Susan M. Hughes, Cherie L. Kidwell, Diane G. Kitch, and Nadine E. Zimmer. So we wish them well and congratulate them on their retirements and thank them for their service.
Thank you, Ms. Bates. We have no speakers tonight. Imagine that. No speakers tonight. So we'll move on to our resolution. Ms. Bates, would you please present the resolution for board consideration?
Yes, I have a resolution to request a waiver for alcohol use at the School for Creative and Performing Arts by the Cincinnati Opera Association. I present this resolution as printed for adoption.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Comments? Ms. Twarek, please call the roll.
Mrs. Bates?
Aye.
Ms. Bolton?
Aye.
Mr. Messer? Mr. Morosky?
Aye.
Mr. Timmons?
Aye.
Ms. Jones?
Aye. Motion carries. Superintendent Mitchell, do you have a report?
I do. First of all, I'd like to send out condolences to the Plush family. Jill Plush is one of our employees. She is a paraprofessional at Fairview School. Her son, Kyle, is a young man who passed away a short time ago from Seven Hills. And so we just really want to express our sympathy and our warm thoughts for her and her family. The other thing I'd like to acknowledge is that over the weekend, Arletta Caesar, who was a paraprofessional at Douglas School, she passed away as well. And so you'll see that in the superintendent's report next week. On a happier note, I'd also like to report that we had an opportunity to visit Westwood School and their entrepreneurship program. Well, they have gone to Etsy. So I got online to order their materials to actually see if it works. And in the mail, I received my products within 2 days. Very cool. So if you go to Etsy's website and put in Westwood School, Cincinnati, Ohio, or Rothenburg in Cincinnati, then you will get your items. And then there was a beautiful handwritten note from the kids that said, "Dear Ms. Mitchell, thank you for supporting our Student Enterprise Program. We really appreciate it, from Destiny Allen, 4th grade student at Westwood. Thank you," with hearts and triangles and stars. And so it really does work, and it's our kids on Etsy, which is very cool and super exciting. Yeah. So, support.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the recommendations of the superintendent?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
One piece. Do
Yes,
they
Mr.
have the
Ross.
greeting cards on Etsy too? Did you get those greeting cards? Remember when we got those greeting
Yeah,
cards? They were
those
the
are nice.
cutest things
Very
of all
nice.
time.
There's a whole package. I don't remember seeing the greeting cards, but I can check it out or check it
I
out
think
on
I can still
Etsy.
approve. I think I can still approve the report.
Thank you. Ms. Tworick, please call the roll.
Mrs. Bates?
Aye.
Ms. Bolton? Mr. Messer?
Aye.
Mr. Morosky?
Aye.
Mr. Timmons?
Aye.
Ms. Jones?
Aye. Thank you. Is there a report from the treasurer in her absence? There's,
Here, yes. So we have some then and nows for transportation and special ed services, also some contracts and contract amendments to approve, and approval of a donation.
okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the report of the treasurer?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Ms. Bolton?
Question. When is the larger Mayerson contract up? It's on page 1, there's some reference to Title I Disadvantaged Children Fund, but it's not the contract for Mayerson. Is that coming soon, or is that this year or next?
Yes, so the Marison contract is up this year. I have had a preliminary conversation with Jillian Darwish, who is, Dr. Darwish is the president and CEO of Marison. What we have agreed to do before actually going into contract negotiations is to get the CPS team and Marison team together to talk about what might be the possibility of us working together and moving forward. We have that date already scheduled to have a conversation before there's actual contract negotiations, which is scheduled to start either the end of May or beginning of June.
As part of that discussion, I would hope that the possession of this room is discussed from a standpoint that this room needs, in the interest of engagement and transparency, we need to have a better facility capability in here for our board meetings and for other communications that we have with the public. So I know that under the contract, Mayerson has control of this facility, and we have just up the street and down the street, or down the hill, we have SCPA that could help us figure out this whole configuration much better, as well as the whole broadcasting piece, because we need it. So if that could be one of the things that you all talk about, I think that would be great. And then I've had some issues, but it's been answered regarding transportation. But on page 3, where it's auxiliary services, schoolhouse electronics, forward edge, CDW, and so on and so forth. On the following page, it says where those auxiliary services are going. But could someone explain the auxiliary services that are referenced on page 3? Are they going to other, auxiliary means other schools, right? Other facilities, other programs?
So Mr. Miles, can you come to speak to those services, please? Thank you.
I'm not worried about it. I just think that it would be important for the public to keep knowing this money that we're passing through isn't coming to our children, or our district, or it is, or whatever.
Yes, and I think our treasurer has brought that up. We are required to share those monies with parochial schools, that title money. And matter of fact, I talked to Amy today, just right before the board meeting, because we are meeting with the Archdiocese on a better way to make sure that we are allocating those services. We are required to give them X percentage of the title funds, and then they are allowed to decide how they're going to choose those as long as it falls under the legal guidelines.
And I know we have a bit of a breathing space about levies, but again, in a public document, Treasurer's been really good about putting definitions in front of this, but as a public document, if we could describe that these are going to parochial schools, I know where they have public schools.
Just put parochial schools.
So even if it's even if we don't know which of the schools it is, I think that is useful.
I will work with Sheila, and we'll work with Amy to make sure we get that done.
There's a lot of money.
Yes, it is.
And it's good. I mean, they're all our children. I don't take me to this, but I do want people to know it's not coming to our buildings.
Okay, Mrs. Bates.
And piggyback on that, I mean, people out in the community see our budget over, $500 million and divided by 35,000 students. And without realizing that, the transportation piece for the private and parochial and charter schools, the charter piece, the Title I piece, and really compared to other urban districts, we're really very, very efficient in the way that we serve our children with the funds that we've been allocated.
Yeah, and to
Yes.
piggyback on that, again, the way to put that in the public as we but as we continue the budget process is finding a way to visually depict that. And I know we do it pretty, in some ways, on the website that we've created. I think that's, if we can start to do it on the hard copy or start to do it here, or even on the website itself rather than the other, get into it. I think that would be helpful, because you're right, people per student will know this isn't just for our 36 or 37,000 kids, it's everybody else too. So I think that would be useful.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? It's been motioned and seconded to approve the report of the treasurer. Ms. Warwick, please call the roll.
Mrs. Bates?
Aye.
Ms. Bolton?
Aye.
Mr. Messer? Aye. Mr. Morosky?
Aye.
Mr. Timmons?
Aye.
Ms. Jones?
Aye. Thank you. Are there any inquiries and updates? I have a few, but I'll wait on you guys. Ms. Bolton?
I have another inquiry. People are going to get tired of me asking about this, but I continue to be contacted by some folks that are users of this program, and you won't be surprised to know it's merch.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we in the future have cut it, but people that still use it, as well as the person that's the vendor, has continued to talk to me and mentioned, indeed, if we may not be saving the amount of money, which is what I understand, that is claimed, but if we're saving any money, I think the administration, if you could help explain to me offline or somewhere why we're cutting something that actually had represented some savings, allegedly, and some service. So I know it was a decision made by the Benefits Committee, but I persist.
Okay. Other inquiries or updates? I have a couple. Ms. Bolton, would you please remind us of the ESSA meeting question? And I know it's on April 17th, which is tomorrow, 6 to 8. Where's the location of that?
Yes, it's the Ohio Strategic Plan, which is the final draft. That is the state version of ESSA, which is Every Student Succeeds Act, that we've all been working on, and it is at the Community Action Agency over there in Bond Hill, across from Woodward. It's how I place it anyway. Other people might place it a different way, but it's next to one of our wonderful high schools. The community is invited. The Community Learning Center folks have been working on this for about 2 years. I know that the administration has worked on the ESSA piece. And again, NSBA has provided books about how we make it be part of our strategic plan after the administration looks at what we need to do. And I know that Ms. Worley has been the liaison for several things since she signed on. And it is at 6 p.m. to about 8 p.m. Some of us were there last year, year before last. And there's a presentation, and then it's about 40 tables that are set up for small group discussion. So they've tried to arrange an army so that we spread out and influence each of the small tables.
Okay, thank you. And it will be helpful to know our folks that I'm planning to attend, you're planning to attend, Superintendent Mitchell.
I plan to attend, and thank you for the clarification, because my calendar is set out at Hamilton County on Hamilton Avenue, so I'm happy that it's at CAA.
Right. Yeah, that's a long haul out there. Okay.
I have a comment
Ms.
regarding that.
Ms.
Yes,
Bates.
and because there are different people attending and you'll be in different groups, I have a Cincinnati rec meeting, so I may not come to that meeting just because I'm going to be meetinged out tomorrow. But, and it's tax day. But anyway, just to make sure that all of you are on the same page with the same documents in hand, so the feedback you're giving is consistent.
Well, the documents that I am referencing are the ones that I saw via email, which is the material today that was sent. Did you get that too, Superintendent? Okay.
I could add to that too, if you're unable to attend, there's like a 2-week period. It was a 3-day period.
Deadline looming for a survey, which we can happily simulate.
That would be great.
Okay, great, wonderful. Okay, anything else about that meeting then? Okay, finally, the ACES meeting. Now, we had all kind of trouble confirming on one of those 2 dates. We either didn't have a quorum or somebody was busy or whatever. So we pushed the date back. And if folks could pull out their calendars right now and see if you are available June 5th, which I believe is a Tuesday at 2 o'clock. And City Council said that they would host it at whatever their site to be. They will let us know. But June 5th, I believe, let me know if it's a Tuesday. Let's confirm that first. It's a Tuesday. So we need, it would be great if everybody could come, but if not, we at least, I know your challenge, Ms. Bates.
Well, no, it's not preschool, it's vacation.
Oh.
That's not a challenge.
All right, okay, okay. I'm sorry?
Time?
2 p.m.
Oh, 2?
Yep. Because the problem was graduation started in May for us, so they're gonna let us know.
If it's here, I can do it.
If it's here, like here?
Like here, I mean, I guess I can move my stuff around, but let's just say.
I can't hear you.
I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll figure it out.
Okay, is it okay for everybody else? I know you can't.
Well, I'll go on record to say,
Don't do it to me.
I've been pleading as at least one who has a traditional 8 to 5 job, which often requires after that, and we have our Wednesday meetings, we have committee meetings during the day. I beg people to put yourself in my shoes where I want to actively participate, but I also have daytime commitments. So 2 in the afternoon, it's just kind of in the middle of a day. As I mentioned, Mondays and Fridays are my home office days. I can make things work more easily then, just as we go forward. End of day, early evening would be helpful once in a while at least.
I will do my best to try to schedule something. I do too. I have the same issue. But
I'm much more junior in my career. You can call shots.
Okay, so I'll do my best to try to see if we can do, would early evening be okay? If we could do something later in the day, would that be okay, 4 or 5? Okay. And if we have to host, if they can't for some reason host it at that time, are we good with that? Okay,
We'd love to host.
Okay.
The last meeting was really cool. Right?
yeah?
Broadcast.
Okay, so maybe we can, I'll work with them, but I promised Alita that I would get back to her tomorrow with something a little more definitive, okay? So that'll work. All right, any other inquiries and updates? Mr. Morosky?
I was fortunate enough last week to talk to the folks from the American Montessori Society about the accreditation for our 2 high schools. And it was a really great talk, but one thing I just kind of wanted to share, and everybody here already knows this, but I think it begs being repeated over and over, how impressive our schools are and how impressive it is that we have 2 Montessori public high schools. And the woman who's here from California, she alluded to something that was happening in the news you all might have paid attention to as regarding a soccer team. And I made some comment about our little public school board doing such a good job. She goes, "Oh, you all are amazing." And she goes, "We talk about you all in California. We talk about Cincinnati Public Schools, and the fact you even have these 2 high schools is amazing." And she said, "And when they get accredited, when they get accredited, they'll be the first to ever, and what a historic thing that is." So it was super exciting to be able to even talk to those folks that were familiar with the work that people have been doing here for decades and how impressive that is and how great our teachers are and everything. So I wanted to share that because obviously we have a lot to be proud of. And then also in that same vein at Gamble, and I've been talking about this for the past few months, their community conversations on race, their second one, because their second one got delayed. There was that snowstorm. Who knows, there might be another snowstorm on Wednesday. Right now, Wednesday at 6 p.m. at Gamble, they'll be having their community conversation on race. It's really powerful.
Thank you so much. Okay, any other inquiries and updates? Oh, Ms. Bolton?
Please mark, when you mentioned Alita, I was reminded, please mark May 5th, the zoning, there's going to be a zoning hearing at the Planning Commission regarding our Community Learning Center zoning. The first meeting apparently went well, but this is where they really need people to come and testify and show support. It's May 5th.
Saturday?
That's what it said, May 5th. We'll look into it. I'll double check that, but that's what the email was. The other piece of it was that, interestingly enough, and this might be even more important, when they did the first meeting, most of the discussion was about preschool, because they're not sure about the K-12 community zoning versus preschool zoning. So that's the date I have, and that's the time, so we'll see. But if that changes, I'll tell you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Are there any assignments? Ms. Bolton?
On behalf of the board, not just myself, assigned to the administration a list, a work schedule, a time frame, and timeline of all the things that need to happen prior to the June 30th date that we gave and agreed to with FC. It's my recollection. That's the stadium planning. That's any other legal documents that have to be created among and between all of us. So it'd be great to have the administration report back on that.
Thank you.
As soon as possible.
Okay. Mr. Messer?
And mine would be a timeline as well on the new neighborhood school in Clifton, what that timeline looks like between now and the time students sit in seats in that school.
Anybody else? I have one. Ms. Bolton?
I have, and I need your help, Madam President, on this. Looking back, as I do when we go get ready to do budget stuff, there were, God forbid, 2 or 3 things still hanging on, left over from the ad hoc committee.
Mm-hmm.
that I'd just like us to refer back to policy, if I could, because I think it's rewriting certain things. For example, being more muscular and more definitive about the leadership role was one of the things that we had not done the new language on yet for ad hoc. Obviously the pages numbering and adding to the legal responsibilities of the board was one of them. And the other was getting rid of the maintenance levy reference, but I think we did that one. The other one was the Workforce Development Council, but that's being taken care of, I think, in policy and student achievement this week.
Workforce Development Council?
Yeah.
Okay.
They kind of revised their charter a bit, and I think it's gone through. Yeah. So can I assign that to policy to do that writing, or do you and I want to meet for lunch and write it? Or?
Let's meet first,
Okay, good.
and then we can give it to policy as we need.
And
See
then
fit.
it'll be done.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. And I had been thinking about that too. I just never acted on it. Okay. Thanks, Ms. Bolt. All right. Okay. Anything else? I have one last one. I know we've all been probably receiving information on House Bill 512, and I think it might be helpful if we sort of got the same information and had maybe a bulleted summary of the implications of House Bill 512. So I'd like to assign that to the man who's over there, Daniel Hoying, if you could do that for us, the House Bill 512. Thanks.
And bring it back when?
Bring it back, if not this meeting, maybe a couple meetings out.
In resolution form?
Well, no, I would like us to at least have a brief conversation about it first. I know the broad scope thing, but as he presented today, but I mean, what's going to be the bigger impact?
But we don't want to discuss it when we can't act upon it. What I'm saying is we might not want to put it that far out into the future because it'll already be voted upon. So we also need the timeline, and we need a way to discuss this in a way that we have influence.
When is the timeline? That's
what we
a
need
question.
to find out.
Okay, so maybe that's the first step then, is let us know when the timeline is. Okay, Mr. Borowski.
Would there be any appetite to have Mr. Hoying put something together for finance and let finance kick it around? I mean, I don't want to speak for anybody else here, but I pay rabid attention to the news, all news, especially news regarding this district. I'm pretty familiar enough to say for myself I oppose House Bill 512.
Right.
Right. And so I think my point is I think most everybody else is too. So would it be fair to ask Mr. Hoying to have something for actually Thursday? Just for finance, and then have a draft of the resolution for the next meeting? Because I think the immediacy to be able to give Randy something to say, CPS is with this too.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay.
And Eric Kearney will be at
Yes.
policy.
I hope we're still friends,
That's
Dan.
fine.
I'm sorry, at finance.
Okay, so the assignment is Daniel's going to provide the clarification and present it to finance, and then from finance, we'll draft the resolution to bring before the board.
Right.
Okay, got it. Okay, any other assignments? Hearing no other business, the meeting is adjourned. So this is the thing, this is what you were, see, I don't have this. I do now, but I didn't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, thanks.
In your windshield, and sometimes.